Bienvenidos and welcome to Ticket to Life. This is Henrie. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a podcast trying to catch up on things around the world. No, not around the world. You know, I'm not a news person. Around my life right now, just a lot of stuff going on. And I hope everyone is doing well. The summer is, we've actually had a little, for all of you waiting for my weather report from Texas, that we finally had a little bit of a rain shower and a little cool down. We reached 110 2 days in a row, record breaking. Ooh. But we all survived by the grace of God that I know of. I don't believe that there have been any deaths from the heat. I hope not. So hoping that everyone has found AC and some shelter. But all sorts of stuff is happening right now. And not just for me, but for a lot of people. School has started. How many of you were ready to cart your kids off to school? Again, we need to thank all of those in education, every single one, because they work so hard to keep our kids educated. And again, thank your teachers. Be kind, parents. Be kind. Find the real story out. When your kid tells you one thing, make sure they are telling you the truth. I don't know how many times teachers will we have teacher friends, educators, and they'll say, yes, and little Cindy said that little Billy pulled her hair and then, took her supplies, and then come to find out when she goes and the teacher's listening and they said, no, she gave it to him. But anyway, be sure to have some open communication with your teachers. Another thing, let's backtrack a bit. I don't know how many of you've noticed the beginning of the intro for podcast, the drumming. I love drums. My dad was a drummer. And so that's why that kind of created something on GarageBand that they make it pretty easy. You just push a button here and push a button there, and you got some music going. So anyway, I hope you all love my new intro of drums, because I really do. The other thing is my husband said I said too much, but that's who I am, and that's what I do. Anyway, I hope it doesn't drive too many of you too crazy, but the other thing, it is almost football time. If you heard my past podcast last year, I love fantasy football, came in third, tied for third pretty much, when Damar Hamlin had that major injury where he basically died on the field and came back. That kind of messed up my numbers, but that's okay, because I'm just glad that he did come back and he's healthy now and doing well. I believe he is playing this year. So anyway, fantasy football for me and my family, we love it. I love football. And of course, we are major Cowboy fans. And no hate mail, please. And also, we are now really, really Kansas City fans now that my daughter has moved to Kansas. So, unfortunately, her HOA will not let her fly a flag. She was wanting to get a flag that's half Dallas Cowboys, half Kansas City. And it's really cool, the church she's attending. She said on Sundays, the majority of the congregation, wear Kansas City shirts when they have a game. So I thought that's kind of cool. So anyway, so fantasy football season is coming soon, and I'm really excited about that. Now, back to school. It is going to be a hard time for a lot of parents. A lot of parents of letting go your child for the first time, pre-K, kindergarten, new school, because you have moved or they have changed school locations, because where I live, they do that a lot for some reason, but I don't have little ones or anyone in school other than my granddaughter, who has started pre-K, and she has enjoyed it so far on day one. But it is hard. It is hard because you have this beautiful little baby, and they are growing up. And it is honestly, once kids start growing up, it's amazing once they're in school. It's one thing when they're toddlers. Oh, they're growing. Oh, you get to still enjoy that baby phase. But when they start school, it is crazy. The time just seems to fly. It just, they grow so fast. And that is true. Kids do grow so fast. And the time is just flying. I mean, it's just flying. So enjoy your little ones. And I know it is hard, but you have to, I mean, I'm going to tell you how hard it has been for my well, especially me, I guess, letting my daughter listen to that, letting my daughter move. Well, I didn't let her. She was going to go no matter what. But when she moved, that has really been hard to let her go. I've had some days of like, oh, I can't believe she's gone. She was down the street, and it has been it's been a different change for me. I'm so proud of her. She's doing great over there. She is doing wonderful. I know she's only been gone for about 6 weeks, but she did come to see us because my son is going to have a baby, and we are so excited about that. They are having a little boy, so I will have 2 beautiful granddaughters and a very handsome little grandson. And so she came down for the baby shower / party. It was a co-ed shower. I guess co-ed shower, co-ed party. It was different. It was not your typical shower. It was, there were no children. Well, my granddaughters were there for a little bit, but there was all adults. It was fun. It was a grown-up party. It was like they wanted to do this big party, their last big party, no kids, that they're still single parents. But they are excited just as I am. So anyway, I'm moving all over the place because my son says I definitely have ADD, ADHD. But thank you for listening and keeping up with me. But letting go is so hard. It is one thing to leave them at school for the first time. But as they grow older and hopefully have a successful education and decide to go to college, and not all kids go to college, and that's okay too. That's great if they are happy doing something else, because that's just it. You just want your kids to be happy. And to let them go just to school, but they're there. You see them all the time. They come home. Hopefully you're spending time with them and not on your phones, and spending some quality time with them at the dinner table or something like that. But, just good old-fashioned family time. But when they go to college, that's really hard. I mean, that's because usually colleges aren't nearby. And that's the first time. My daughter actually told me when she left for college, she said, "Mom, I feel as though I'm so sheltered. I was so sheltered." I'm like, wait, what? Because we really did, and I'm sure I have mentioned this in some past podcasts, we felt like we let our kids do pretty much anything that was legal. But it was an eye-opener. And just knowing that she hadn't seen or heard certain things, I'm like, oh, well, I guess she wasn't around that. It's not like we kept our kids to ourselves. Then, after college, then they get a job. Well, when my son told me he decided he wanted to be a police officer, oh my gosh. I'm like, no, not you. Not you. You don't want to follow in Dad's footsteps. No, I did not tell him that. I thought it, though. But I would never discourage him from doing something that he really wanted to do. And 15 years later, he's doing great. By the grace of God, he has watched over him and taken care of him. And as for my daughter, she became an educator, and she did that for 5 years, a little over 5 years. And then she decided, she and her husband, to start a family. And she is a stay-at-home mom, and that is her job. She gets no benefits other than the joy of being with her children. But it is hard to let go. And then this was a really big change for us, for her to move to another state. And we're pleased with Kansas. I mean, it's not that far, and she loves it. It's good for their family. That's a very family-oriented over there. I mean, just all sorts of stuff. She said people are so nice. Although I thought they were pretty nice here in Texas, but no, she is very happy there, and the girls seem nice, and I mean, nice. Of course, they're nice. They seem very happy. So that's all you can ask for your kids, that they continue to grow, and it's hard. It is hard. How many times have I wanted to say, or how many times have I said and had to bite my tongue, That's not how I did it. But I have to realize, and I have realized, that my daughter and my son have minds of their own. And that's the hard thing, is when you finally have to let them go and they are adults, they're in their 30s, and think, and they have flourished with life. They've made wrong decisions. They've made better decisions than they have wrong, but that is everyone. I can't even tell you there. I mean, if I were to make a list of all the wrong things, all the decisions I made, this podcast would be nonstop. I'd be eating and sleeping in front of this microphone, just to tell you. But that sounds horrible. Anyway, it is hard to let kids go, but here are some things to help you. Here are some. These are not helpful hints from Henrie. Well, some of them are, and some are from Google It. And if you don't know what Google It is Google. I call it Google It because anytime you tell someone, oh, well, just Google it. That's what it is. So I call it Google It. Anyway, have I lost any of you listeners? Are you going to sleep? Anyway, you have to allow kids to have their own space, even as toddlers. You cannot be with them all the time. If, just put them in a safe place and let them play alone. It is okay. And if they have siblings, let them play together, but yet let them have their space, because they have to learn to adapt to not be around you all the time. Of course, again, a safe place. There are some people that just can't do that. I have seen it. And I was probably like that with my son when he was first born. It was like, oh, geez. But allow them to take control, of what they're doing. Yeah, they're going to throw fits. And one thing I do have to remember, and I wish I would have thought about this when my kids were little. Remind yourself when they are 1, just learning things, 2, 3, 4. I think my limit would be to stop at 8. And that sounds like a long time. But what I'm saying is, remind yourself, they've only been on the planet for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Go up to 8, because at 6 and 7, that's really kind of they're still babies. I mean, they're in first grade. They're still learning. But at 8, this is just me. I remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm just Henrie, and these are just my opinions and my thoughts. At one point, you have to remember they are still learning. And when they make a mistake, remember, maybe they didn't know, because they've only been alive for 3 years or 2 years. Now, when they get into 14, I have talked to some middle school teachers and parents with kids. There was, for some reason, 14 is a crazy age. Those hormones are going, and it's kind of crazy. So make sure to talk to your kids about everything before, especially if they're older. And when I say everything, I mean everything: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. No, I forget the rock and roll, but the sex and the drugs and life in general. Because life is, I believe, tougher for kids nowadays. I really do believe that. I think it's a little bit harder for kids than what it was in the 70s or the 80s. They are up against so much. And now the fear, some kids have fear of going back to school because of the killings, the like Uvalde. That was so horrific. And some kids are scared. They are scarred just seeing and hearing this. I mean, growing up, we did not have code red drills. We had fire drills. So I can't imagine. Put yourself in their place. And remember to spend time talking. If you have a chance to just go somewhere with your kid, do it in the car. That's where it talks. No phones, because you shouldn't be driving with your phone. I found this video where this major accident because someone was texting. And I was at a stoplight the other day, and I noticed people that were going to ride on red. Each of them was on their phone. I was like, oh my gosh, put the stinking phone away. Trust me, you will be okay without the phone. If you have to text, please pull over. If you have to call someone, most cars, not all cars, have Bluetooth. just say, call Joe Blow. Just stay off your phones while you're driving and spend that time with your child. It is so hard because they will grow up so quickly and you're going to miss out on it. Don't miss out on it. Letting go is hard. And then there's the mom or the dad who feels very sad because their kids have to grow up. But guess what? That's reality. We do know that. No, they don't tell us that when they hand us that sweet bundle in the hospital and say, here's your bundle, enjoy them for 18 years. And they're going to go off and be excited about life and do things they shouldn't. No, they don't tell you that. There's no manual, as they have always said. No manual that comes with a child. But letting go is so stinking hard for some. And for some, not. And then there are the kids who would just love their parents to spend just 15 minutes a day just talking. Make that effort, parents. It's so important. There's so much crazy in the world right now. Make your child know that there is no place like home. Yes, that's a Kansas reference. But seriously, make your child know that they can come to you at any time and talk to you about everything. Everything and anything. Because that's what we want our kids to be able to do. My kids pretty much, I'm sure they don't tell me everything now, but we have pretty open conversations now, especially now that they're adults. And it's nice. So try to remember when kids are kids and making mistakes, which they all will. And I'm still making mistakes in my life, for gosh sakes. I'm sure you are too, because no one is perfect. Thank God. That would not be good. But remember, love your children. Thank a teacher. And please stay off your cell phones while driving. Go find your blessings. And thank you so much for listening. Until next week, this is Henrie. Be safe.